the World Healing Tour movement with your host, Noah Crane. Heal yourself, heal the world. Hello, welcome to the World Healing Tour podcast, where our mission is to help you heal yourself so you can heal the world. Hi, my name is Noah Crane. Each week, we will bring you tips and tools and inspire you to live your most empowered and joyful life. I am also the author of the book, The Grass is Greenest Where I Am, because the grass is greenest where you are when you nurture your own gifts with no comparison, no competition, and no scarcity. When you learn to live in your own love and light and share your unique gifts with the world, because we're all unique. In my book, I share everything that I've done to be able to get connected to myself, to be able to share my message with the world. It actually took me 20 years to write this book because I didn't believe in myself, because I didn't love myself, because I wasn't connected to myself. I had to do my own inner work within myself to be able to love myself, believe myself, accept myself, and most of all, stop rejecting myself. Once I was able to do that work, I was able to write my book and share my message with you. That's why it's called World Healing Tour, because when we heal ourselves, we can heal the world. I'm so grateful to be here with you today. As always, we always bring incredible guests into the show to help pour into you and help you live your most incredible life. My guest today, Eileen Lemelman, is a licensed psychotherapist for over 30 years in her own private practice. And she's also a best-selling author. And she's got an incredible podcast called It All Starts With You. Founder of Sister, a group sanctuary for women who want more growth and empowerment in their life. I'm so excited to have her on the podcast today. Eileen, welcome to the World Healing Tour podcast.
Hello, Noah. It is so nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me, and I can't wait to have this conversation with you. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and I'm so excited we're here, together talking about this because I know the work that you do is all about healing, and I know you're so committed to healing. Let's start with, why do you think, because I know you're a psychotherapist by trade, why is it so important for us to do our own healing to be able to heal the world?
So, listen, all healing, if we want to shine our light, if we want to heal, we need to start with ourselves. And you know what? How that begins? With awareness. Mm-hmm. We cannot make any change in ourselves. We cannot do any healing. We cannot make any behavioral, social, emotional changes unless we have awareness. That's what I help people with. Becoming really connected to themselves, really learning about themselves, having a full awareness of their emotions, of their, thoughts, and also the mind-body connection. So being aware of their body, the sensations that they have in their body. I actually have trademarked this healing technique called the mindful triangle method. Thoughts, feelings, and body sensations. And those three together create the foundation for people to have full awareness and make the changes that they need to make to heal themselves.
That makes a lot of sense. So there's that foundation that we have to do to be able to be more aware of ourselves, because so many of us are living very unconsciously, right? We're just going through the motions, we're disconnected, and you just go around and you hear people's conversations with, even in the bathroom, right, or anywhere you are, and there's just so much negativity in everything they say because that lack of awareness is not there.
Mm-hmm. Well, a couple of things. I think, first of all, we live in this age where we want instant gratification. Mm-hmm. We want, the tech, the internet and our phones make us, sometimes I don't even use my brain anymore because I'm like, oh, I don't know the answer. I'll just look it up on the phone. Mm-hmm. We want instant gratification and instant results. And that's, a lot of people come to me saying, okay, this is my problem. What do I do? Mm-hmm. So that's not the way this works. This is a journey. This is a process. This is hard work. But isn't it worth it? It's so worth it when you discover the power that you have within us. And you're talking about a negative society, a negative environment, a negative culture. Yes, we live in such a divisive, polarized, environment, country, society, country to country. Everybody's on different, polarized sides. And when you don't agree, you get blasted, right? So I think people, they're really programmed now to think negatively instead of positively.
Yeah, and they're running a lot of stories, right? They're running a lot of stories and opinions and I have a chapter in my book that says our opinions are not going to heal the world, but our love and connection will, right? And we live our life through such strong opinions that come from our childhood that really also, I think, cause that separation between us.
I think we live in this world where we're programmed to think it's you against us, you against me. And that puts us into constant fight or flight. That puts us constantly in this hypervigilant state of, oh, I have to be on guard because I'm going to get, criticized or I'm going to get attacked. And so I think, people, that's where the mindfulness, the connection to self, the healing comes in with, you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to, really be on my side. I have to be on my side.
Yeah, that makes sense. And part of it, what I hear is that we have to learn to kind of accept each other more. And just because somebody thinks differently than you doesn't mean that they can't be your friend. It's okay to have different thoughts. It's okay to have different ideas. We can still find common ground because we're all humans and we all, need to find the love within each other and not to just break us up into like little pieces.
So, that brings me to one of my really, really strong missions, which is community. Because I think what has happened in this society is that because there's so much polarization, there's so much fighting, there's so much, if you don't believe what I believe, then I can't be your friend. I think people have begun to really be scared to get out there for fear that they're going to be attacked or not agreed with. I mean, listen, I have so many people that come to my practice and they no longer speak to family members. They no longer speak to friends because of who they voted for or because of what they believe or because, they're calling each other names, which has become so normalized in this society now. And so, people isolate. And people stay away from one another. That causes us to feel so lonely. That causes us to feel so scared about being vulnerable, about having the courage to be connected with somebody else.
No, it's really, especially in this world that's just, we're so separated. It's so big, America. I mean, it's so big, right? So it's very easy to lose a sense of community.
Yes.
It's very easy to lose yourself and to, and the thing is, something else that I heard in what you said is that why is there so many problems within families? Because it seems like every family has somebody they're not talking to or somebody they don't like. Like there's so much of that negativity that we spin within our own lives, and we don't understand that negativity actually impacts our lives, Like we're disconnected from the fact that what we're putting out there, the hate, the anger, the disconnection, the opinions that are negative, right? That those things are actually causing almost like a barrier between us and what we want in our lives.
Listen, every relationship, every single relationship has conflict. That's the essence of a relationship, is conflict. But it's not the conflict we need to avoid. It's learning how to deal with the conflict. And so when we learn that you can agree to disagree, when we learn how to compromise, when we learn how to really look in each other's eyes and say, oh, okay, You're different than me, but that's okay. I can still appreciate what you're saying. That has been in a lot of cases lost.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I don't understand why we have to, be so extreme. And I don't know. I don't know that every relationship has to have a conflict. I mean, you see a lot more than I do, but I think like let's say a relationship, a love relationship. Does it have to be? There's some people that have really hard love relationships, right? Where there's a lot of conflict, right? And there's other couples that have easier love relationships, right? Now, my thought, because I've been married to my soulmate for 28 years, and I know you've been married for a long time as well. So
42.
yeah. So, it's a long time. We're kind of veterans at this, right? So my thought is that your partner, when you choose a partner in your life, should be like a best friend. Okay, that's how I see it. Like if I chose you're my best friend, why are we going to have a lot of conflict? Because usually people that you choose as friends, you're choosing somebody with common goals and common values, right? At least common values, common vision, common way of seeing things. Those are the kind of friends I want to draw into my life and that I grow with. So I do believe that sometimes the conflict is because you're so different and your values are not the same, your vision is not the same, so it can bring even more conflict. Because a lot of people say marriage is so hard. I never thought marriage was so hard. I think there's definitely things to overcome in marriage, but I don't see like marriage as a major conflict that other people see it as.
Well, I think we're talking about two different things. I think that, there are a lot of reasons why people do end up getting married or picking friends for a variety of reasons. Yes. I think the most important thing is something you touched on, which is having common values and goals.
Yes.
Having common values and goals, then everything else really takes a second, seat. But when I say conflict, I'm not talking about having different values. Because, listen, if you got married for, because your age determined, I better get married, and yeah, he's good enough, and I'll make it work. Yeah, no, that's very different than just something as easy. And I have patients that come to me, they're in marriage. They can't agree on a restaurant to go to. That's conflict.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. They make things more complicated than it should be.
Well, then we're talking about compromise.
Yes.
How do you compromise?
Right.
How do you mediate conflict? How can you be resilient in the face of conflict?
Yeah, or use your words in a way to empower the other person, communicate, not break them down, right? Because I think that it all comes down to how we talk to people, right? Because you could say the same thing to someone, but it's your tone, it's how you say it, how it lands with them that really makes the difference, So for me, it's really like, I always say, if every person was just responsible of how they show up in the world, what a better world it would be, right? Because we don't have to be responsible, but if we can show up in a way that doesn't step on anybody else and in a loving way that impacts other people in a loving way, that's healing. That's healing for all. And that's what I love, is the fact that I have the power, we all have the power to show up in a way that is more loving and more grateful and more connected, without having to point the finger at someone else.
So, Noah, you and I are preaching to the choir, right? Because you and I would say we've done a lot of work on ourselves.
Yes.
We've done a lot of, emotional work, spiritual work. So we're more, as I say, we're more evolved. So it gets back to what I was saying earlier. The foundation for everything is awareness. When you're not aware of your thoughts, your feelings, your body sensations, then you don't have those tools that you're talking about to show up as your most healthy, evolved self. And your decision does not, determine my ego. Your decision doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. Right. Your decision doesn't mean that if I have a difference of opinion, I'm inadequate. But that's the work we have to do.
Yeah, of how we can come more together rather than more apart. Let's go back to that subject of those three things that you said that you have to work on. What are some tools you could give people to be able to, let's say, the feeling? How do you start to be more connected to your feeling?
So, they're all three of these, points in the triangle are connected to one another.
Right.
So very often, we don't even know what we're feeling. Very often, we don't even know what we're thinking. Sometimes what we do know is that we have that pit in the stomach, or we have a racing heart, or we have sweaty palms, right? So now we have a body sensation. Oh, okay, we identify it. We notice it. Ooh, yeah, my heart is racing. Then I say, okay, so what's the thought connected to that? It could be anything. We don't judge it. We just name it. Okay, what's the feeling now connected to the thought and the body sensation? A lot of times people don't even know how to name their feelings. What I suggest people do is go to Google and download a feelings chart or the emotion wheel, and it will give you a name, a list of all the feelings. Then you can look at it and say, oh yeah, I'm feeling sad, but actually I'm feeling desperate. Let's get specific with our feelings, because when we get specific with our feelings, then we can know what tools we have to use.
Okay, I really like that. So I like that, the Google thing, and to see, that's great. That's a great tool
Yes.
for people to know. So we're talking about here, you said the feelings, the body,
Body sensations and the thoughts.
and the thoughts. So they're all connected.
Yes.
Feelings, body, and thoughts. Okay. All right. So now when somebody knows what they're feeling, their thoughts and their body sensations are, they're able to identify it. Right now, I'm feeling really desperate. What's the next step?
Yeah. So that's what I was talking about. People saying, okay, what do I do with this now? There's so much power in being with it. Just naming it and being with it. It's when you go to fix it, it's when you go to try to change it that causes more anxiety. If we sit with it, if we pause.
For how long?
Well, till, I don't know. I can't give you a amount of time. But I don't think people even stop to just sit with it and really identify it and name it. And say to yourself, oh, I've named it. Okay. So the next step, you know what? You have to come to therapy for me.
Yeah. No, that's
No, but like if you have, let's say you have
So you
a
take
lot
the
of
pause.
anxiety, okay? There are tools that we could, use. Breath work, meditation,
Sure.
journaling,
Right.
calling a friend, dancing, movement.
Sure.
All of these things help us
Move the energy.
move the energy.
Right.
Yes.
But let's say we're talking about desperation. A lot of people are very desperate. Women who are chasing a guy, or a guy who's chasing a woman, or, these emotions where you get desperate, or you're chasing pleasure, right? How often do you see in your practice people that chase pleasure? A lot of us are chasing things. We're not just, like you said, sitting, being with it, So once you realize, hey, I'm being desperate, and you're pausing, is the pause there to give you clarity?
The pause is, yes, to give clarity, but the pause is also about regulating the nervous system. Because we can't make any rational choices if we have a dysregulated nervous system, which desperation will do that to you. Any of these really intense, high emotions will do that to you.
Yes.
The other thing is that, you say, what should I do with this? What am I supposed to do with this desperation? That goes back to something that, the buzzword, right, which is imposter syndrome. It's good on the outside. The outside will determine the inside. You tell me what to do and I'll be okay. let me get some money, let me get a material thing, let me get a man, let me get this, then I'll be okay. That's imposter syndrome. And that's why I say to pause, because we have to own that it's okay. I'm perfectly fine being my imperfect
You're
self.
enough.
Totally enough.
Can you explain what imposter syndrome is to our audience?
Yeah, well, imposter syndrome is exactly what we're talking about, which is I am not enough. It's all the inner critical voices that we say to ourselves because we're not enough, we're not adequate, and we're going to find a better way on the outside rather than really own what we are on the inside.
Thank you. That's a great explanation. All right, I skipped the commercial break. So here's a commercial break from our sponsor, Eileen. This is a great conversation. We'll be right back. World Healing Tour 2,
Woo,
2024,
half an hour already, huh?
October 20th, at the Wyndham Hotel in Boca Raton. We are looking for vendors, for sponsors, for speakers. If you want to be a part of this, go to noahcrane.com or click the link below. And welcome back. This is a great conversation.
Yeah.
This is really interesting. And because we are so in our own way, it's so easy. We self-sabotage. And that's partly one of the biggest thing that the awareness gives you is like how you self-sabotage. Would you say that's something that awareness can give you? Because like you said, when you don't take that pause, when you just constantly go, 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 constantly in the fight or flight kind of thing, then you're not rational, you're not seeing a clear picture, as you said, and you can't make a clear decision. And then you're just making the wrong decision after the wrong decision after the wrong decision. And part of it, I don't know if you agree, imposter syndrome is maybe like not loving yourself enough.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you talk about the word sabotage. So I just want to, kind of zero in on that because I think, yes, people sabotage their happiness. They sabotage their success. They sabotage maybe making changes in their life. Why? Because being in the familiar, even if it's negative, is so easy for people. Might not be comfortable. It might not be, it might cause a lot of anxiety, but it's familiar, like an old slipper, right? You know what it's like when you have an old slipper, you slip into it and it feels so comfortable. Even though the sole has worn away, there's nothing to support the foot anymore. They're falling apart. I need to get a new pair of slippers. I don't want a new pair of slippers because it's so familiar. But once we start getting a new pair of slippers and breaking it in, oh my goodness, we realize what we had missed.
Like, why did I put up with that for so long,
exactly,
right? It's just
exactly.
why was I doing that? So, yeah, we're in our own ways. And what I hear a lot through what you're saying is putting integrity back in, right? Because things break and we kind of like let it go. And we forget about like kind of like being good to ourselves and putting integrity back into our lives.
I love that word, Noah,
Yeah.
integrity, which goes along with what we were speaking about earlier, which is values. When we are in alignment with our integrity, with our values, then we are able to make decisions and choices. But when we allow others to dictate our integrity, our values, then we're totally out of alignment. We can't make good choices that way.
Yeah, and integrity always goes out. Integrity always goes out. We always have to find a way to put integrity back in our lives because integrity also gives you organization. Integrity gives you more structure in your life. So when you're aware, and it's part of the awareness thing, right? Because if we're not aware that things are kind of falling apart here and there, and we're not, doing new, because as we know, we don't grow in our comfort zone, right? We grow when we get uncomfortable.
That's right.
We grow when we through change. We don't grow through being the same, And so that's the journey, right? The journey is the journey to growth, to becoming more whole, becoming more you. And you do that by continually doing your inner work, which I love that you do that and help people through that because, people really need that.
Yeah, I've come a long way with my practice because, People always ask me, do you do CBT? Do you do psychoanalysis? Do you do EMDR? Do you do, all that? Yes, yes, and yes. But I also include, which is so important, the relationship. The relationship with me, the relationship with you, and your relationship with you. That's how change is going to happen, when we really start looking at relationship, having a really loving relationship with yourself. That's why when you said, integrity always goes out, yes, that's why we always have to come back to, how am I going to really honor myself, love myself, know myself, and really have the best loving relationship with myself?
Yeah, and when you have a good relationship with yourself, you also hold yourself in a high standard. So when I was, for example, looking for my soulmate, I was really keeping myself here. I knew my value, I knew who I was. And I figured anybody that can't reach it will fall away. So when you have high value and a good relationship with yourself, you're less likely to let the wrong people in. Now, I'm not saying that over the years I have in times, because we're only human, right? We get in our way. So I've had times over the years where I forgot that I need to be more careful with certain people, just like all of us. There's things we have to protect who we are. I always say, you make your bed and you sleep in it. So, we make our bed and we have to protect our the people that we love, and protect our space, and it's that relationship that we have with the people closest to us that is so important to everything else that we get to create in the outside world as well. So I think that's a huge subject, the relationship.
Yeah, and you talk about really learning who's going to be good for you and who's not going to be good for you. Listen, we're talking about surrounding ourselves with good people, not toxic people, but we're also talking about people pleasing. And so, listen, I've had, of course, I'm a human, and I've had the disease to please for many, many years. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be approved of. I wanted, people to, include me, accept me, be part of, a community, be part of a group. And, so that goes back to, again, what we're talking about, values, integrity, and really being able to say, it's okay. You don't have to like everything about me. I like it. I'm good with who I am. I'm good with what I like. And just because you don't agree with me doesn't mean I'm bad. That's the difference between, feeling worthiness and feeling shame.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And the worthiness part is just so important, because when we feel worthy, we're able to overcome fears. We're able to overcome so much.
Yes.
And I think that's a huge subject. For me, it was my own learning that I was worth it.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And not feeling like I was insignificant in the world, or my voice didn't matter, or I didn't matter. And it's that fear that can get in the way of us really feeling like we have that deserve level, like we deserve to be loved. We deserve to have, great things happen in our lives, And, when we feel that way, if we don't feel we deserve it, how can we attract that into our lives?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Because so many people don't feel deserving and worthy, and they'll accept crumbs because that's all they think they can get.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and that's why it's part of the growth, right? Because we've all been there. We've all been there, and we all had to overcome to be where we are. And it's not easy, like you said. The work is not easy, but it's so necessary to our own healing. I know when we spoke earlier, we were talking about loneliness and how important community is. And you know that I am all about community. I'm all about bringing people together. And, I do that through events, through things that I do. I always say connection is the key to everything we want in our lives. And together we are one. And I spell it WON, because we win when we are together. Because I really believe, Eileen, that life is about the win-win. It's not about the win-lose, Like the people that I surround myself with, I want them to win just as much as I win. And I think that's what's important is, to be heart-centered in who you are, and to be loving. And I know I was honored to have you hosting. You were the Spotify host for the World Healing Tour Once, which is an event that I do. And it was such an honor to have you there and to, you did interviews and all that. I love community. I love the energy of events. And I know World Healing Tour 2 is coming in October. How was it for you being a part of World Healing Tour 1? I wanted to ask you, and it was really great having you there.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It was such an honor to be the podcast host for the World Healing Tour. It was wonderful. And listen, your vision, your passion, your desire to want to heal, not only our community, but the world is such an amazing, kind of vision that you've had. And it was just so wonderful to be part of that vision. Yes, you and I are on the same path, the same kind of, emotional, definitely, path of
Definitely aligned.
aligned with wanting to bring people together so that they feel heard and validated, bring people together so that they feel important and that they can heal, not only heal themselves, but heal each other. And
Yeah.
that was the beautiful, beautiful takeaway from the World Healing Tour.
Thank you. And you know what? One of the things that's really important to me is that, when we're together, we get to fill each other cup, right? We get to, and that's what I love is that we need people to help us fill our cup, right? And also to take that time to ourselves. And what I always say is that we get to be mirrors for each other, right? Like any beauty that you see in me is just you. So we get to reflect each other's beauty. And that's what I love so much about when we come together, when we do events, when we do things, that we get to be that mirror for each other. Because even when you don't see your own beauty or you're going through a challenging time or whatever's going on, I can mirror with my mirror your beauty to you. And that's what I love the most. And I know you do too, when you bring people together, is to be able to, help us all feel good. Because like you were saying before, like the journey can be really lonely if you don't have a good community around you.
So that's exactly my mission that really was born out of a lifetime. I grew up as the only daughter out of 4 boys, and I always felt on the outside. I always felt like I didn't belong. I always felt odd and weird. My brothers would look at me and like, who is this girl? We're into sports and, testosterone and male stuff. And I was the girliest girl ever. And so, I didn't realize, but that was really why I ended up, having this desire to bring women together. Because we need each other. We need a tribe. We need a community. So often, the cultural and the societal expectations of women are give, 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 give. It's not about you, it's about me. And we play along with it. So to bring women together and say, no, this is your time. This is about you. And let's really help each other to heal, to feel important, to feel like we matter, is why I bring women together.
Yeah, I love that you're doing that. I think that is so important. And like I said, with such a huge world that we live in, you don't even see your neighbor half the time. People are just so isolated with themselves. And, there's a lot of depression and a lot of things that people go through. And I think when we are together, the journey is so much more beautiful. It's so much more meaningful. You have somebody to help you go through even the most difficult times,
Well, we are, talking about depression. So right now, we are going through a mental health crisis in this country, actually in the world. It didn't start with COVID, although it was exacerbated by COVID. And there was, listen, we had COVID, we had a pandemic, we have mass shootings, we have, this is a very uncertain, very scary world we're living in now. And so people are tending to isolate themselves. I just got a new patient, and she told me that, she's so scared to go out. She's so scared to go out. And so what happens is you begin to isolate yourself. And isolation is as lethal as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It affects you mentally with depression, anxiety. It could really exacerbate and cause heart disease, dementia, Alzheimer's. So we are in this epidemic of loneliness now. And so that is really the mission, to have a place to come together. And I think also when you're in midlife and beyond, very often you don't have those ready-made kind of communities. When you're younger, your children are young, you have mommy and me, you have school. As you get older, you're working, you have coworkers. People are retiring, people are moving, people are, divorcing, their spouses are dying, and people are really lonely, and they don't know where to go for that. And especially as people get older, and they say that people at age 60 and over are at more risk of, this loneliness, this depression, because they don't know where to have friends.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that is really why I'm the founder of my sister group.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so good. And I love how you niched it down to women. So I want to talk more about that. We're going to take a quick commercial break from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. The Grass Grows Where I Am, an incredible anthology book that we are bringing collaborators together. This book is about wisdom, resilience, empowerment, and enlightenment. Do you want to co-author with us? If you do, go to noacrane.com or click the link below. And we are back. Yeah, Eileen, I love that. I love that you're bringing women together, that you're helping them not feel lonely. When you get together, do you talk about different subjects? Do you run it kind of like a therapy session? How do you do that?
Yeah, it's not really therapy. It's more of like, of course, I bring my expertise and my experience to the group because I can't divorce myself from who I am. My identity is really, a therapist, although I like to call myself a therapreneur, an entrepreneur and a therapist.
That's cute.
But so it's not a therapy group, but it is a group where people can dive deep into what they're feeling, into sharing. We meet monthly, and it's always a themed month. And I usually try to theme it around, seasonal things or what's going on in the world or what's going on in the seasons. Like last month was summer, the start of summer. So we did, we talked about the summer, and we talked about summer solstice, and the days get longer, and we have, how are we going to shine our light? Mm-hmm. And then this month, of course, with July 4th, I'm gearing the whole month around freedom. Freedom to have a voice, freedom to be your authentic self. I
like that.
Freedom to really, have a place in this world.
Yes.
And so that's what I do. I'd like to keep it very topical around what's going on in the culture or in the environment.
Yeah, I think I drove yesterday on the highway, and it said something like, give your phone freedom.
Yeah.
Like put it down
Yes, exactly.
and give your phone freedom,
Exactly.
for the day. So
yeah.
give your phone some independence, I thought that was really funny.
That's
I'm like,
cute.
I wish I wasn't driving because I would love to take a quick picture of that.
That is great. I love it.
That was really cute. I'm like, that whoever did that had a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
That was really great.
But there's a lot of truth to that.
Yes,
there's
100%.
a lot of truth to that. I mean, if we're talking about mental illness and we're talking about loneliness, the irony of it all is that we are so connected through our phones, through the internet, through social media, but the more connected we are through technology, the less connected we are with each other.
Yes.
Isn't that powerful?
Yeah, it's very, very true, because it really is two different worlds, right? It's this world and this world. And when we're in this world of technology, we're not present and aware in this world.
No.
So it kind of shuts you off. So when you're doing one thing, you're kind of shutting off the other thing, you know? For example, if you're busy on your phone all day and you have kids who need you, you're not present to your kids, which is the most important thing.
That's right.
So it's very easy to, you know, be imbalanced in those two worlds, especially today, because they literally pull you in. You know, I mean, today, these days, you watch your phone and there's just amazing things on there, right? Amazing things that pull you in. There's so much information. There's so many things that you might be
Oh,
interested.
you go down the rabbit hole.
Yes,
they
and
call
even
it.
like those cute videos of animals, right? Like, I mean, all these things, it's like, wow,
Yes,
like,
yes.
you know, it's just like, there's incredible people in this world. This is an incredible world with amazing, talented people. But I think the key is to appreciate each other and to grow from each other, to learn from each other, but also to really, you know, be committed to your own journey and to bringing your gifts to the world. Because if you get so distracted by all the noise of everything else, it keeps you from really bringing who you are and your piece to the world. So Eileen, something that I always say lately that I've really connected to is that we all have a temporary seat here. You know, we all have a temporary seat. And I say, what are you going to do with your temporary seat? I feel very responsible that God gave me a temporary seat in this world to be able to do something great for this world. You know, I feel like it's an obligation almost, like I want to make this seat count for the future for other people, you know. And I think if we saw our lives more as like a responsibility, you know, but not like a heavy responsibility, but, you know, we're here to bring more shine to this world, more love to this world, more gratitude to this world. Whatever it is for you, I think that, you know, if we each did that part, what a beautiful world it would be. If we, because our time is short here, you know, it's not about fear, but it's only the time that we're going to be here. Why are we going to waste it in low vibrational things, right? Like gossip, like, you know, being angry, being, you know, having upset with people. You know, we have to fill our cup more with positive things so we can leave that, because, you know, I know that the future generation is watching us. Yeah. They're watching us.
We need to
you
leave
know,
a legacy
yeah,
for
and
them.
it's about living that for them.
Yes.
You know, it's not about me. Like, I don't look at World Healing Tour like Noah Crane. No, I look at World Healing Tour like I get to bring something to the world that hopefully long after I'm gone will continue to make a difference for others. You know, that's how I see it. Like, we're all here the time we're here, and then what can we do to make the world better?
Yeah. Well, you know, Noah, as we're sitting here talking, you know, we could have had this conversation on our phone, right? We could have
Yes.
gone back and forth, talked about all the things we talked about, you know, like, you know, alignment and light and, you know, all the things that we want to do in this world. But you know what? There's something so beautiful about you and I looking in each other's eyes. I see the love. I see the warmth. I see this desire that you have to want to bring something so meaningful to the world. That's what's important.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it really is. And like, you know, now that I became like the president of the Holistic Chamber of Boca Raton, like, I do not take it lightly, okay? I feel like really grateful that somebody trusts me enough to be able to bring people that are holistically aligned in the community together. And what I really want to do is help other businesses. You know, like, how can, if you become a part of the Holistic Chamber, how can I send you referrals? How can I find people to be, you know what I mean? Like, because it's all about that, you know, that when we realize when I'm helping you, I'm really helping myself.
We're talking about community again. We're talking about community. We're talking about supporting one another.
And that's what it's all about.
Yes.
You know?
And also what you're, you know, you and I both are doing, we are really taking this charge of leadership really important. Really, really, this is meaningful for us because not everybody can do this. So we have to really create something so that people can say, oh yes, that's what I need, that's what I want. And thank you so much for creating that. Right? So whether it's the World Healing Tour, whether it's Boca Holistic Chamber, whether it's the sister group,
We're all connected.
we're all
It doesn't matter. We're all
connected.
bringing our piece of the puzzle to the world to make the world a better place. And I don't know if you agree with me, but I feel like in South Florida, we have a lot of people that are really healing in the healing fields and want to make this world better. Like, I really feel like there's really good energy here of people that are attracted to this South Florida that are healers and want to make this world better. And I'm excited about that because I believe that together we can't lose. Like, together, if we support each other, when we start realizing that when you help somebody else, you're not helping somebody else, you're helping you. You know, when we realize when we elevate someone else, you're not elevating just somebody else, you're elevating you. It's that constant, whatever you're doing, you're elevating yourself as you're doing it for others. And that's what, when we realize that, it stops being just about us, you know, because we realize it's really is, it's the world consciousness and wholeness that we want to elevate. It's not about just ourselves, right?
Yeah, well, we're talking about, something that is key in happiness, key in living a happy life, which is finding your mission and really serving that mission, serving the mission, not serving yourself, but serving the mission. That is the key to happiness.
I love that.
Listen, there are many people that I treat that think South Florida is the worst place in the world. What we're talking about, you and I, is mirroring the healers, mirroring the positivity, mirroring, what exactly is inside of us. So that's why we're attracting that.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely. And it's everything's perspective. You know how Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, right? Everything in life is perspective. So when we can shift and change our perspective, our life changes. And the truth is, we all can be leaders, right? We can all be leaders in our life, leaders in community, leaders. We just have to get out of our own way and believe and love ourselves.
Well, that requires something that I just want to touch on.
Yes.
Which is two things: courage and vulnerability. We have to have the courage to get out there, to be vulnerable. We have to do that in order to make connections, to feel as if we're mattering, but a lot of people don't have that courage and vulnerability. That's where you and I come in.
Yeah.
That's where the World Healing Tour comes in, and that's where the sister group comes in. And I have other things going on
of course,
too.
yeah.
But that's just one thing. That's where we come in, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because, when somebody else shines a light on you, it's going to ignite something in you. So we get to ignite each other's light. We get to ignite each other's vision. And I love what you said about happiness, because at the end of the day, what do we all want? We want to be happy. We want to be joyful. We want to feel good inside of us, right? We don't want to be in that place of pain, but sometimes we don't know how to get it. And when you are connected to vision, mission, and purpose, and you don't make it about you, it's not about me, it's about the collective, that's where you start really feeling good, because it's authentic, it's real, right? And I don't know if you know this, but I heard that authenticity is a higher vibration than gratitude.
Yes.
Like it's
really?
the highest vibration, even higher than gratitude, from a pretty good source. So, and that's the thing, right? We want to be authentically who we are. So many people out there pretend to be something and they're not. And when you're more authentic with who you are, you attract more authentic people into your life,
Well, that's exactly what the mission of the sister group is.
I love
to
that.
allow all the women that would gather together to be authentically them, with no judgment, with no criticism, and really stepping into that in a way that we all elevate each other.
I love that. And so how do people find you, Eileen? How do they find the sisterhood group? Can you tell us a little bit more how they can connect to that?
I mean, they can, go to my website, which is www.eileenlemelman.com. And in there, I have, all my groups that I have and all, my podcasts and everything on there that you can email me also, which is eileen.lemelman@gmail. You can email me and I'd be happy to talk to you. I'd be happy to share with you what it is that the group can offer you. And, perhaps, anything else that you might want. Or, I mean, I'm not going to announce my phone number, but, you can call me on the phone too. But I think the best way is to email me.
They can Google you, right?
They can Google me. Google me. I'm on Google.
Eileen, so I want to ask you, you have also a retreat coming up, right?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Well, before the retreat, in October, I'm going to be doing a masterclass about unlocking the power of emotional intelligence, which is exactly what we were talking about, the mindful triangle method. So if you want more of that, let me know. We're going to be doing a masterclass. It's going to be awesome.
What, do you know when that is?
It's in October. I don't have an exact date yet.
Okay, but they could check it out on
They
your
can check
website.
it out on the
Okay.
website. Oh, I keep knocking the microphone. I'm sorry if I'm hurting your ears. And then the retreat is about transformation for women 50 and over, stepping into your divine feminine power, your sexual energy, your empowered voice. That is going to be January 17th through 19th. It's right here in South Florida. I found the most amazing place where we're going to be glamping. Yes, glamping. And I'm just thrilled about that. So, let me know because we'd love to have you be a part of it.
Yeah, and I love that you say, you kind of have your niche of the age of women that you want to work with, right? So is everybody in the sisterhood as well is 50 and up, or what's the criteria?
Yeah, I mean, 45 and over, because I think midlife starts in like 45 for some women. But, to tell you the truth, I'm in my 60s and I consider myself midlife.
Yeah.
So, it starts at 45 and it goes to, 80, let's say.
Right.
So, but the general, kind of demographic in my groups are like 50 to 60-year-olds.
Okay, it's good that you have that you know your age group. Well, this has been so great, Eileen. I so enjoyed our conversation. And definitely grateful that we are connected and we're continuing to build, beautiful connections in the community, and that we have the connection too, because it's really an honor to talk to you and to see how, aligned we are. The more we talk, the more we just see like the alignment is so there. Right?
Thank you so much for having me, Noah. It's been a pleasure and it's been a lot of fun. And I'm glad that we are in alignment.
Yes, me too. Well, thank you so much today for joining us on the World Healing Tour podcast. Go to my website, noahcrane.com, to check out my beautiful jewelry collection that reminds you every day to do 3 important things. Number 1, every day, remember to have a grateful heart and connect to your gratitude. Number 2, every day, remember to ground in love and compassion. First, love and compassion for yourself, and then share that love and compassion with others. And number 3, every day, remember that you are not alone on this journey, yet you are guided by God. I will see you again. Have a beautiful day. Namaste. I screwed up the end.